Hey guys, welcome to another how-to video with Matt Waters. Today I'm going to show you how to make a simple chick knit table, but first you're going to need a couple things. Alright, so the first thing you need to get yourself is some screws and an impact gun or some hammer and nails. Then you're going to need to get yourself a framing square, a marking device such as a pen or a pencil, and you need to get yourself a tape measure. And you need to get yourself a miter saw, that way you can cut 45-degree angles. And it doesn't matter what size plywood you get, or you can use just flat wood, anything that you got, but you need to cut yourself a piece that's 24 wide by 15 1/4 wide. Then you need to cut some 2x4s at 24 inches long 6 times. Then you need to cut yourself two 2x4s at 12 inches. Then you need to cut 4 2x4s to the measurements of 15 1/2 using a double 45 method, where you cut it on one side at a 45. Then you pull down 15 1/2 from your bottom and put you a mark, and then put you another 45 cut the exact same way so that it looks just like that. And you need to make 4 of those. Now you need to cut you out 2 of these boards right here, which is 2x4, and what you need to do is take your flat side of one end and go ahead and cut you a 45 this way. Then you need to go ahead and take your tape measure and measure from that 45 top mark right there, and come on down just like that and put it at 14 7/8. Put you a mark there and then 45 it that way. Or like I said on the other one, you can come and go ahead and do a 45 that way, come to the top right here, put your mark at about 7 3/4, and then pop your other 45, and you'll need 2 of those. And for your last 2 boards, you're going to need these at 32 with 45s on each side. And like I said earlier, again, you can go ahead and cut one of your ends on a 45, right? And then you can pull your tape on down. And then as you can see right there, that's 32. So go ahead and pop your 45 on one side, come down, mark 32, put your 45 opposite, cut that, and then you can just put a board on top. Pop your lines like that on top of that board and cut it out the exact same. So just make sure that you have a 32-inch spread on your longest end right here. Alright, so we're ready to begin the project. So the first thing I want to do is take my piece of plywood that I cut out, and I want to lay that down so I have a nice flat surface. Then I want to take my 2 1-foot boards and stick them to the sides right here, and take 2 of the 24-inch boards and stick them right here. Then what we're going to do, guys, is just use this plywood as a nice flat surface to build our box. So we want to go ahead and put our box together just like this right here. So it goes ahead and form your box, and then you can go ahead and start off by screwing your box together first. Then we'll flip over the box and we'll use our shoulder screws and screw our plywood in on the back side. So let's go ahead and do that now. First thing I want to do really is just get this corner nice and lined up, make sure all sides are lined up nice and flat, and we want to go ahead and screw this one together in this first corner. Alright, so now that that corner's together, we can go around each corner and get all 4 corners attached. So now that I have all of my corners on my box that's attached and the box is fully built, right, all we got to do now is just pick the best looking side that you want to face up. An example, this is my uglier side compared to the better looking side, so I want that to be my top, right? So I want to lay my best looking side flat on the ground just like that. Then you're going to take your plywood and you're going to line it up with your corners, and you're going to get it nice and even, and then you're just going to go ahead and shoot you a couple screws in that right. So I'm just going to go around with some little short screws like this size right here, and I'm just going to put a couple of screws around each corner. Alright, so once you put all your screws in your plywood on this part right here, you can now flip it over and check out the top of your chick knit table, as I call them. Everybody calls them chicken picnic tables, and I'm just going to put the words together and call it a chick knit table. But this will be the top right here, right? So now we're going to move to the next thing. Alright, so now that you got your plywood screwed on, everything's intact, what you want to do is take your two shorter pieces, that was the double 45 cuts, and you want to put them on the sides just like that, right? But what you want is you want to allow room for the legs to come onto the side of it. So a little trick for that is just to take one of your boards, doesn't matter which one, but the shorter one would be obvious. But you want to go ahead and stick that board and line it up right there on both sides so that it's exact. And then you want to take your short piece, right? You want to stick it right up against that 2x4 just like that, and then pop you a line with your marker or pencil. Alright, so now I can take that out of my way. So that tells me that's exactly where this board needs to be nailed in place, right there, so that's buttoned up against that line. So we're going to go ahead and do that now for both sides. So we got our board right here lined up against our line, and what we're going to do is don't go in at an angle, because if you do, you're going to go right through your plywood and have screws sticking out, and you don't want that, right? So what you want to do is kind of come in at an angle, go just a little bit in, and then turn your screw up so it's going straight up and down with this board right here. So let's go ahead and screw that down, and we're going to make sure that we're on our mark right here. And we can go ahead and screw it into our piece of 2x4 down here. Alright, so that side's secure, so we'll just go to the other side and do that, and we'll repeat the exact same thing we just did for the other sides. Alright guys, so what I want to do now is I want to take my tape measure and I pull across, and we got 15. So half of 15 is 7.5. So at 7.5, I want to put a pencil or pen mark right here to show me what my center mark is. Then I want to take two of my leg pieces that we cut just like this right here. Alright, and what you're going to do is you're going to put one just like that, put it right up to that line. Go ahead and screw that in place or nail it, whichever you want to do. Just make sure you go into this 2x4 and not through your plywood. Then you can come over to right here and here and shoot you a couple nails or screws right here. And after we do that, we'll take our other leg and we'll flip it and we'll butt it right up against that line right there. And then we'll go ahead and get that screwed and nailed in place also. So let's go ahead and do that now. Alright, so I got my leg lined up with my line right here. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot some screws right here in the side first. And action. Alright, so I got my board lined up exactly where I want it, so I want to go ahead and shoot some screws into the side right here first. Just to hold that right there in place, and it's nice and tight. So now I can go ahead and put another one in right here. It's much easier to do this stuff with screws instead of using nails, but if that's all you got, then that's all you got. So that board is good in place right there. So I'm just going to take a little short screw just to give it some more stability, and I'm going to shoot one pivoted. And what I mean by pivoting it is you go in at an angle just like this, right? You see I'm at an angle. You go in just a tiny bit, that's it right there. Use the head of your screwdriver tip right here, right? Pull it back so that it's straight. So now you're locked in place, and you shoot it down. Like that. So now that's real sturdy, that's not going anywhere. So now we're just going to repeat that for all the other sides, and we'll have all our legs on. Alright guys, so we got all four of our legs on, right? But don't flip it over just yet. Now you need to take your longest two 2x4s that we have, which is 32 inches, right? So let's get in close right here. What we're going to do is we're going to measure the same exact distance, but I want you to take your board first. I just want you to just stick it randomly up against there. It doesn't matter, it ain't going to be perfect, right? Go ahead and take your tape measure, and you can get a good line of sight of where your board's going to kind of be. So our half mark was 7.5. So I'm going to put me a mark 7.5 right up against to our board. Alright, so once you got your 7.5 center line mark, what you're going to need to do is take the board, and you want to go from the long end right here to the other long end, which is going to be 32 inches if you cut them exactly to my specs, right? So half of 32 is 16. So we're going to put us a mark here at 16. And just roll it up to the hip right here. Alright, so now what we're going to do is take our board, and you want to make sure that the angles are pointing down, because you're building this upside down, right? So now you got your 16 mark right here, which is your center. So now I just want to buck it up against that board, line my two marks up, and that lets us know that we're both dead center with this and the board, so that we can just go ahead and shoot us some screws in now. Alright, so that's now screwed in place, so we're just going to repeat the exact same thing for the other side. Once you got both of those boards attached on the centers, now you're able to flip it over and we'll attach our bench boards. Alright, so if you guys out there follow directions carefully, this is what you should have when you turn it up. Alright, so now it's time to put on our 24-inch seat boards that we're going to use, and the easiest way I found to do this, guys, is to just take your board, and this is already 24, the bottom of your plywood is already 24. Just line them up real nice, just like that, on your board. And then you see where your two spots are right here. Go ahead and put you a pencil mark around the board, just like this. Alright, and then you want to come over to this side, do the same thing. Alright, so that tells us where that's going to go. So we'll just flip that around and nail it right to the board, or screw it, whatever, just like that, by lining up the... Alright, so now that we have both boards marked with our little square marks just like this right here, right, I want to just flip it over so that the marks aren't showing on the outside. And I want to line my first board up just the way it was, and go ahead and get that centered up. And then I want to bring it all the way to the edge right here. So let me pull this back so you guys can see. There's the edge on both of them right here. So I'm going to line those up dead on those edges and make sure that my lines are lined up exactly where I want them. Alright. Alright, so now we're ready to shoot some screws into that. Alright, so there's our first board, and you want to give it just a little bit of space off of the table, right, to give it that real picnic table effect. So we'll go ahead and take our other two marks right here. We'll turn them inward and just bucket up to this board just like that right there, right? So now what we're going to do is just barely pull it off about that far, and go ahead and shoot some screws into that right there. Alright, so once you got those two boards on, then you can go over to your other side and repeat the exact same process. Alright guys, so we got all of our bench boards nailed and screwed on, and this is our chick-nick table. So we're going to go and put some feed in this and try it out and see how our chickens and roosters like it. Alright guys, so there you go, how to build a simple chick-nick table. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hope you guys have a great week. Peace.